It's Judicial Watch is doing the heavy lifting on this basic information about the Biden border crisis. What I love about Judicial Watch is that our use of the Freedom of Information Act allows us to highlight and educate for the American people every issue the government's involved in. And so Judicial Watch can literally I shouldn't say literally, I hate that overuse of that phrase, but can investigate everything more or less, at least under the Freedom of Information Act. And that's an effective way to hold government accountable because so much of what government does, they do because they think no one will catch them doing it. Or they think even if someone catches them doing it, as long as no one else knows about it or it's kept secret or to a small group of people, even if it is public, no one will do anything about it. And Judicial Watch is the group that kind of upends that whole strategy because not only do we know what questions to ask and how to get information out, and we don't know how to get information out of the government, and we don't take no for an answer. But when we get the material, we release it in a widespread way that not all the time, but oftentimes results in the government either backtracking, changing its policy, or at least behaving more honestly. And one of the crises we're facing that Judicial Watch is very interested in uncovering the details about is the border crisis created by Joe Biden. Joe Biden changed the rules at the border, changed our policies in a dramatic and quick way, and it resulted in a crisis like we've never seen at the border. It's a crisis. Joe Biden doesn't want to call it a crisis, but it is a crisis. And the crisis victimizes everyone involved. It victimizes, obviously, those who live at the border, every American citizen whose sovereignty is harmed, every American citizen who is taxed more and faces increased income tax and other tax and public sector liability because of the influx of countless illegal aliens. And it harms illegal aliens who get victimized as a result of the human trafficking that is enabled and expanded as a result of the green light given to that activity by Joe Biden at the border, where children are being trafficked into the United States. And rather than those involved being prosecuted to the full extent of the law, the federal government uses your tax dollars to help the traffickers get the children to the endpoints they were seeking to get them to begin with. They're flying illegal aliens into the border area to pick up children that they were responsible, it looks like, for trafficking. They're flying families and adults and children out using your tax dollars, putting them up in hotels and such. Now, the big news has been, because the media is focused on this and the Republicans focused on this, and rightly so, is the overwhelmed social welfare, well, I shouldn't say the human services, social services sector at our border due to the influx of illegal alien children who are being trafficked by the cartels and people like that. And so these facilities near the border were being overwhelmed, unsanitary, unsafe conditions for everyone involved, children, adults, and the American citizens and government officials who had to oversee the situation. And so what Judicial Watch has done, and we've already seen this before during the Obama administration, is followed up on the reports of the abuse of children in these facilities. And of course, because the media likes open borders, they don't want to pursue these issues. There's been this unprecedented secrecy around the tsunami of illegal alien migrants that the Biden administration has invited across the border, practically speaking, by essentially shutting down much enforcement. And what Judicial Watch has done is we sued the not DHS, but HHS, So it's one of the reasons things are a mess with the border is because you have all these various agencies taking a hand in certain aspects of what goes on there. So, Department of Homeland Security provides border security more or less, and interior security related to immigration enforcement. But HHS deals with children once they get across the border, and they've been reports of abuses in San Antonio. There were 3 reports of abuse and neglect at the Freeman Coliseum there, where more than 1,300 migrant children reportedly have been held. And those abuse reports were given to Texas authorities. And this is just one of several set up to handle the surge. And of course, there are other reports, forget about the abuse, that the places are just unsafe generally. And as you may recall, media is kept out, members of Congress were kept out or restricted in what they could share. People were having photos deleted or being asked to delete photos and things like that. And a lot of this was kind of some of the material we know about what was going on in terms of pictures was the result of members of Congress saying, I'm going to take a picture and figure this is going to come out, or people literally smuggling out pictures. So we asked for all summaries of individual case files or reports of physical and/or sexual abuse or assault of unaccompanied alien children under the care of HHS, its sub-agencies and/or volunteer agencies, contractors, grantees, and sub-grantees, to include all segregable, non-exempt information. That's an important point, because what they say is, well, sometimes there's this part of the document that you can't see, therefore you can't see the entire document. We're like, no. You block out what you want and give us the rest, and we'll argue over whether you what you blocked out. But you have to remember, it's not just HHS, but there are all these nonprofits and other entities that get money from the government to take care of these aliens. We also wanted records reflecting aggregated data of physical and/or sexual abuse and assault of UACs, unaccompanied alien children, under the care of HHS and the sub-agencies. So we want the reports and the numbers. And it's Judicial Watch is doing the heavy lifting on this basic information about the Biden border crisis. And as I say in the statement, we're concerned that the surge of migrants seeking to take advantage of the Biden administration's lax, and that's putting it charitably, isn't it? Immigration policies has resulted in the foreseeable abuse of children, as overwhelmed federal authorities are ill-equipped to handle the huge number of children coming across the border. The unprecedented secrecy and censorship surrounding these sites compounds the problems and limits accountability. Our lawsuit aims to expose the full truth about this particularly troubling consequence of the Biden administration's lawlessness on immigration. The full truth, that's what we want. And I don't know about you, but when it comes to smuggling children, I'm an abolitionist. I want to abolish human smuggling on the border. This human trafficking, everyone pretends, once these folks are here, if they only could get free and clear of the border, then they're free and clear. Well, A, they're not here legally, and B, they're often sent into situations where they're forced to work to pay off their debt to the smugglers. It's indentured servitude, to put it mildly. I mean, the scandal around illegal aliens, those of us who support of the treatment of illegal aliens, those of us who support the rule of law on immigration, we're on the side of the angels, because the rule of law protects everyone. It protects illegal aliens by curtailing human smuggling and securing the border. It stops the activity that results in human rights abuses. Those who want open borders, and they may not acknowledge this, but it results in human rights abuses. Lawlessness victimizes, in the area of immigration, those who citizens and illegal aliens. So those of you who oppose the failure to enforce the law on illegal immigration, you're on the side of right. And don't you be ashamed or embarrassed because you're on the side of protecting the children and the others who are victimized by these human smuggling operations largely run by the cartels. I mean, Biden has put this country's sovereignty at risk. He stopped deporting people, practically speaking. The latest numbers, I don't have the number in front of me, it was like between 2,000 and 3,000. Immaterial number of people being deported as of the last month's numbers. Typically, hundreds of thousands of people will be deported. This fiscal year, I think the numbers are going to be 55,000. There are 11 million people here illegally. 1 million are probably going to cross the border directly this year, at least. At least. I mean, all the numbers I'm giving you are low because I've been doing this long enough to know that if I overstate the numbers, they'll come after me and tell you I'm lying and shut me down. So I'm understating the numbers. But you can look up the numbers. Go educate yourself about these numbers. These are publicly available numbers, and you're going to be shocked by them. So I'm pleased that Judicial Watch is doing this work. And as I told you last week, we were in court earlier this week on behalf of our taxpayers' clients in Maryland who are trying to vindicate the rule of law by stopping tax dollars and stopping the government from spending tax dollars to provide cash payments in violation of federal law and state law to illegal aliens under the guise of COVID. So we had a big appellate court hearing then this past week on it. And well, I don't know what the court's going to do in the end. But again, we're in court. Judicial Watch isn't just talk, we're action. We are an action group. We educate you, and we're in court. We take steps to stop government misconduct, to enforce the rule of law. Now, more groups are beginning to do that on our side of the philosophical divide, which is great. I want more lawsuits. I want more groups challenging government misconduct. And Judicial Watch will continue to do that on your behalf.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the latest news from Judicial Watch.